This is a test of the City of Palatka audio system.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Palatka City Commission meeting on August 8th, 2024. We're going to call the meeting to order with an invocation by Pastor Mulberry and pledge of allegiance by Commissioner Campbell, please.
Good evening, everyone. Father, again, we thank you for this day. We thank you for how good you've been towards us. We thank you for how you blessed us to come together once again in a meeting. We pray, God, your blessing to be upon this commissioner. We pray, Father, that you will lead, guide, and give directions. Remind us of who we are and whose we are. In the name of Jesus, God, that we may represent you well in all that we do. Pray, God, that you will move the city forward in the direction in which you would have it to go. Thank you now for every participant. We pray thy will be done, thy kingdom come. It is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please join me. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Ms. Krantz.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. Commissioner Tammy McCaskill.
Here.
Commissioner Justin Campbell.
Present.
Commissioner Will Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Rufus Borum.
Present.
Mayor Robbie Correa.
Present.
All members present and accounted for. You have a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Has everybody had an opportunity to read the minutes from July 8th, 2024 special call meeting, July 9th, 2024 workshop, July 11th, 2024 regular meeting, and July 12th, 2024 workshop?
Motion to approve minutes A through D.
Second.
The motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Thank you. On to in the spotlight, employee recognitions, Ms. Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Commissioners, for another opportunity, yet another month that we get to recognize an employee for outstanding performance, doing their job duties, and the nominee and recognition we like to spotlight on tonight is Lieutenant Darren Denmark.
We'll have to admit that I did sneak up on him with this. Didn't expect it at all. Madam Mayor, Commissioners, staff, and citizens, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to recognize the hard work of our employees. Lieutenant Darren Denmark has been a source of inspiration for this department. Darren has been a dedicated leader in our department who has pushed the culture and quality of service to new heights. His crews love and respect him. Denmark's ability to teach principles and concepts continues to get better each year. We appreciate him for his selfless determination to create better firefighters through training and instruction. Again, I thank the Commission for allowing this time to recognize a true leader in our department.
Firefighters coming up, they're all kind of hanging.
He got his family here.
Yeah.
Get your family. Front and center.
Oh,
Wait. Chief Taylor, on to fire department recognition.
So tonight, I'm happy to celebrate a milestone anniversary with two of my best employees and friends, Captain Philip Smith and Deputy Chief Chad Branford. So this is 20 years of service. It's not often in a career that you get to celebrate 20 years of dedicated service. And I mean dedicated. This is the kind of job that tests you every day you put on the uniform, a career that serves a different volley every shift. There's no place for complacency or lackluster performance. Both men have dedicated themselves to the city of Palatka and to the fire department especially. These two men are well respected in our organization and have set good examples of what it means to wear the uniform. I again thank the City Commission for using this time to celebrate people who have shown their true character through action and service. Thank you for allowing us time and venue to thank these men and their families for their service. Thank you.
For that 20 years together, they hand in hand, almost 20, and then they kind of split it. They one worked 10 years, another one worked the other 10 together.
It's just 20 for each.
All right. That's it. We appreciate that.
Is anybody else coming up for the photo?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, man, thank you guys for your
Thank
service.
you. Thank you. You better hurry up. Okay. Yeah, it would be nice if we don't lose them. First, they're already heading out the door. No, they have to
Guys, you wanna
back
come
up, please.
That's 20 years of dedicated commitment, service, sacrifices.
Want a picture of just them first?
No,
You can get in there.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
guys.
2024 summer interns recognition, Ms. Jones.
Madam Mayor and Commissioners, at this time, we just want to recognize with certificates, all of our summer interns that we had. This year, we had even more than we were normally allotted for, thanks to the generosity of some of the departments that wanted to bring on additional interns. So we were able to mentor more students this year than even last year. And so as I call your name, if you would just come to the front and receive your certificate, and the department heads that the summer interns were a part of, please come with them. Kaya in Session. Riley Blackmer. Reagan Blackmer. Tommy Robinson. Trenton Williams. Saniqua Edwards. Janaya Perry. Relia Phillips. Ian Wright. Chloe Batts. Brianna Gibbs. Inaya James. Annabelle Lamb. Keelan McGinnis. Demarion Sutton. Kendall Lowe. Dante Wilkinson. And Tavon Adams.
Thank you, Kaya.
She's not here.
But you got the whole program. So.
Yay.
Pull some of the chairs. Here we go. Couple more.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yes, it's hard.
Okay, we're gonna start the meeting back up. City manager and administrative reports, utility assistance presentation, Ms. Cardy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ms. Cardy and Ms. Ascaret.
I don't see her. Do you see her?
See her.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, first of all, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners and everyone that is here on behalf of the city of Palatka and also Crystal Azacarte. We would like to present the successful administration of the grant with ARPA funds. And so this is a PowerPoint. Is she here? Okay. All right. So I'll keep it moving. Go ahead, please. Next one. Special thank you to the City of Palatka, Mayor, City Commissioners, City staff, PGA, Clay Electric, and FPL. The background is that we partnered with Azacarte Consulting Group to administer the utility assistance grant to alleviate utility debt and burdens caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. And it basically covered pass-through utilities for water, gas, and electric services with 3 firms, Palatka Gas Authority, Florida Power and Light, and Clay Electric. The results of that, next screen, whatever. So initially, our goal was like $60,000 or to help as many people, at least 100 families. And we were successful. We exceeded that goal. We helped 126 families. Our goal was to recover at least 60,000 in past due debt from PGA, and instead we covered more than 90,000 with PGA specifically. So in essence, we were able to cover, to help PGA 126,410. You go to the next one. And Florida Power and Light, we helped 60,404. And Clay Electric was 7,804.76. So the total assistance that we were able to provide the city utilizing ARPA funds was 194,700. The average benefit per individual assisted was 1,019.37. And finally, we included some testimonials. The next slide. And these are just a few. We even, she even had videos as well. Oh, good. She's here. Come on, come finish. Oh, you can finish. All right. Well, why don't you come stand by me? You do that. All right. So in essence, we have testimonials, right? And so these are just some individuals, and you also had some. We received videos as well that were made, and so basically, help get my lights back on. Without your help, our lights would have stayed off. Living through the toughest time, getting back on my feet. And the best one I think was Tyler. Well, they're all good, but City of Palatka and Azak Karate Consulting have done it again. Thank you so much for the partnership. So we were successful. If you would like to say anything on behalf of your mother, you can.
Yeah, we helped a lot of people. This program was definitely needed. The testimonials really just reflect the need for this program, and people just, how much a lifesaver this program really was.
Oh,
How much of a lifesaver this program really was.
Yes.
So yeah.
Very good.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. And the uniqueness of the mother-daughter team, I think, was also an added bonus.
Could you say about the PGA? You mentioned about PGA. Can you explain to the audience what PGA?
Yes, sir. PGA stands for Palatka Gas Authority.
Just so that they're not confused with the
Yes, sir.
PGA Pro Golf
Okay.
Association.
All right. Thank you. And future initiatives, Miss Crystal is saying that she hopes that she has the opportunity to help more families.
Ms. Carter, you might as well stay there. June 30th, 2024 quarterly financial report.
Yes, ma'am. So our quarterly financial report reflects that as of 9 months of operation, our actual revenue is 35,823,000, and our actual expenditures 28,679,000. And we're operating as of the end of June, where the revenues are in excess of the expenses by 7 million. And so I've identified with the revenue streams, for instance, property taxes, the budget was 4,245,000. As of June 30th, we had received 3,803,000. And the general fund expenditures, the 11,440,000 on page 2. The largest two departments would be the police department and fire department. Police year to date has spent 4 million or incurred obligations of 3,811,000, and their budget was 4,000,009. And fire has incurred liabilities or paid expenditures 2,319,000. So general fund has spent as of June 30th, 11,440,000. And if you look at the golf course, generated 105, spent 152,000 on page 2. So it's operating at a loss at the moment of the 37,000. However, there's other activities by the time we get to year end. We expect it to be a more positive circumstance. And then if you go to page 3, which should be the Better Place, generated 4,228,000, of which 3 million was that loan in order to proceed with different items in the budget. And we incurred expenditures of 2,147,000. So Better Plan is operating at a profit of $2,080,000. And then we have utility funds. 11 million was generated, 9,694,000. So again, we're at a profit of 1,380,000 as of this moment. And sanitation generated 3,237,000, a profit of 600,000. And then we have TIF. And with TIF, we've generated 1,004,000, but we have not. Our expenses were only 202,000 as of this time. And so if we go on to page 4, it's just identifying a picture of the breakout. We can see that the bulk of the expenses, as I mentioned, for general fund is at 3,000,008, and that's the property taxes. Next, it would be the 1,895,000, and that would be most likely the assessment. So going to page 5, our citywide actual revenues just for the whole city, 31% is coming from our general fund. Well, actually 31% is coming from utilities and 38% is coming from general fund. So on page 6, we are still holding on to our budgeted reserve balance. We have not decreased it as of June 30th per the budget. Any questions, please?
Anybody have any questions?
What is your reserve rate right now?
19.
Well, if we were to take the 14 mil and compare it to our budget of 75, but then this is, it would be perhaps about 19%. Well, no, I don't know it offhand. I would have to calculate it. But if you can, that breakout right there, that 19%, right, you may have already calculated
Yes.
19%. Thank you. Yes, sir.
That's
Okay.
a little bit lower than where we were. We were at 26.
So if you would allow me to research this a little bit thoroughly for you and confirm, and maybe one of the things I can add on is put the base that we're applying it to, and then we'll know what percentage we're referring to.
Okay.
I'll add that on.
Any other questions? Mr. Jones?
With the TIF funds being 1.1 million, and you alluded to a meeting or two ago that we need to actually think of areas we could spend that money on for the people that's in the TIF districts. Have you come up with anything to present to us on the spending? Or suggestions?
Let me take it.
I would like to know.
Okay. Well, yes, sir. In our meeting that we will be having shortly, which I believe is August 12th, we have identified different projects and so forth. So yes, sir, we're prepared to speak more.
I.e. example.
Actually, there's also the CRA director position was funding for that. That was one thing.
As I understand,
Also grant funding and some other.
city manager, please, if you may.
Sure. So you have, like the mayor said, the manager's position. We have several programs that funds have been identified for, but have not been expended, such as the building improvement grant. There was a significant amount that was allocated for cost share programs, which the largest is the building improvement grant. And so even though you see a large balance there, that should not belie the fact that the CRA, I should say, has allocated money towards that fund. Unfortunately, we haven't had enough individuals come in and qualify for the utilization of those funds.
And that's the purpose of my question in this forum, because if we don't tell the people, they won't know those funds are available. So the purpose was to get it out, let them know that we're gonna have some building improvement money.
Yes.
And we must spend it. So that's to let our constituents know.
And,
Thank you.
and definitely in Monday's meeting, we will be able to give you much more detail.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any additional questions?
I did have a
Thank you.
comment that I wanted to make.
Sure.
I wanted to draw the commission's attention to the documents that you received. One additional document, in addition to the quarterly report and the monthly report, is the monthly check register. So in your package, you have the quarterly report, the monthly report, but also what was emailed out was the check register. That's something that's a little new. So I wanted to draw your attention to that. It identifies those items that we have spent funds on via the bank accounts over the last 30 days. June 1 to June 30th is what was included in that. So that's something new for you to take a look at. And if you have any question on any of those items, please reach out to me and let me know.
Would that be something that we'll receive on an ongoing basis, or was it just
It's up to
Well,
you.
how what we thought about it?
If you think that it's valuable information, I'd like to continue it. So I'm looking for direction one way or the other from commission once you had a chance to review it.
Well, I think it's important that the commission receive those on a monthly basis. Those reports are very, very important as it relates to swings and spending or what have you. So if we get them on a quarterly basis, it might be it could hurt us pretty bad if we're pulling down funds from these various funds. So we just like to see it on a monthly basis, I think.
Okay. Good feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, we're going to open the floor to public comment. It's limited to 3 minutes and no action will be taken on the item. Public comment is an opportunity for citizens to voice their thoughts and concerns on non-agenda items. Specific agenda items, we'll address that later. This will be done in a respectful manner without personal defamation and is not an opportunity for discussion or debate. Please give your name and address for the record.
So is that the only staff report we're getting?
That's what it says.
Is that the only staff report that we're getting?
Yes, excuse me. Go ahead, Commissioner
No.
Jones went first. Go ahead, Commissioner Jones. I don't know if anybody heard you. Everybody heard you. That's what I mean.
Well, I was asking, is that the only staff report we're getting?
Yes, those are the only reports on the agenda. I am prepared to provide an update on the status of the inquiry process at some point in the agenda.
There was a request that with regards to getting more of our staff reports in a meeting form so that not only we are informed, but the citizens are informed. We are receiving some of the information. Thank you to the department heads who are sending out the information that we request, but I believe that these meetings should provide our audience and our constituents the information that we receive so that they are pretty much in the know as well. So again, I would like for us to reconsider the method in which we present our reports, because at one point there were reports at every meeting by all department heads. But again, I would like for us to consider the method of making sure that the information is provided to the general public.
Thank you for that feedback. I will say that we have begun providing the weekly report that was requested at a previous commission meeting of those things that were going on during the week in addition to the newsletter. But we can also bring a report to to this meeting, to the regular scheduled meeting of all the items, if that's the desire of the commission.
I think it heard it was the desire to have those, so that, again, the community could hear
Right.
as well. Commissioner Borum?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Again, we had also the affordable housing that we were supposed to be getting an update on mid-July. And we know that the RFP went out, whatever, is supposed to be completed. So where are we with that? Because we got a number of other things that we need to be taken off of that ARPA list. We have to spend that money before a time certain. So where are we with the RFP process?
I believe that is item
It's on the agenda.
on the agenda.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I have one more.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I'll wait. Just let them go, but
Number 8.
Okay.
Yep, you're all set, Commissioner. Okay, Commissioner Campbell?
Just piggybacking off of what Commissioner Borum stated with regards to some of the opera funding, I would like to see that come before us more consistently so that we don't lose focus of what's on that opera list and the possibilities of making sure that we stay on track with that. Not saying that it needs to come before every meeting, but at least once a month, that information or an opera check-in list or check-in should be provided in an open forum so that we're able to discuss if we're looking to reallocate or do some things with regards to that, making sure that that funding is spent by the time it needs to be spent.
Okay. Do that.
City manager, may I?
Go ahead.
It's not so much spent, but obligated
That,
Correct.
by December 2024.
That's our deadline, obligated. And then 2026 is actually
Right,
spent by.
it has to be spent by.
Are we all set? Can we move on to public comment? We do have some people who submitted public comment cards. Ms. Duke?
I think city manager did say he had an update. So did you want to go before that?
Did you want to, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Mr.
Sure, I can provide an update. I wanted to share with the commission that when the information was provided to me in hard copy concerning an employee of the organization, I did review the information and determined that it did have a level of validity that warranted further inquiry. And based on that and several phone calls that I made to multiple firms to determine their ability to provide their services to do an inquiry based on their resources available, the costs associated with it, and the timeline for them to be able to provide a response. A firm was selected. That firm is actively engaged now. Over the last 2 weeks, they have been doing public records requests, seeking information, reviewing the existing documentation. I provided an update to the commission about the status of their activities. Within the next 2 weeks, they will be conducting interviews with former employees, current employees, and members of the community. And so we expect within that 2-week period that they should be in a position to wind things down, depending on scheduling those interviews.
Any questions of Mr. Bennett?
Just wanted to update.
Back to public comment. Sorry.
what was, I didn't hear the cost associated.
I didn't mention it, the maximum, it was not to exceed 10,000. The agreement requires that they provide notice if they're approaching 5. And then again, if they're approaching 7,500, then finally 10.
Appreciate it.
Any additional questions? Okay, thank you. Ms. Duke, oh, sorry, go ahead, Mr. Commissioner Jones. Go ahead.
Were there any government agency contacted or inquiry?
Yes, the Florida Ethics Committee was also contacted, and they are pursuing a parallel. I'm assuming that they're pursuing a parallel process with that.
There was some talking going on, so can you clarify what you just said? Because I didn't.
Sure. So the Florida Ethics Committee was also contacted. The documentation was submitted to them for their determination to pursue additional parallel inquiry.
Okay. Thank you.
Any additional questions of Mr. Bell? Thank you. Ms. Duke, please come up, give your name and address for the record. It was a test.
I'm Vicky Duke. I live at 105 Carriage Terrace, Palatka, Florida. I rode down St. John's Avenue, and as our world is improving and it looks well, but I'm concerned about the blacktop work that was done from 8th Street down to where it stopped. That was actually city. I know that was city. The black tar or whatever surfacing they used has almost completely covered the brick. Okay, especially at the corner of 8th Street and St. John's Avenue, along with, looks like some kind of grease or something got poured on it. Looks terrible. And when you go to each one of the intersections, I don't know whether the company that did it attempted to protect the brick in some way, or was there a problem with the product that they put down didn't cure in at the time that they thought it would? And that's why I got tracked all over our beautiful brick. But who's going to clean it up? We paid a lot of money for that, and now it looks terrible. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Givens?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, our commissioners, city staff, everyone. I'll try to write down what I need to say because it's a lot. So bear with me. I only get 3 minutes.
And start with your name and address, please.
Well, I have a question on that. My name is Tarsha Givens. I live at 225 Stillwell Avenue here in Palatka. I was wondering, is that city policy that we have to state where we live? Because I woke up at the last city commission meeting last month to a flat tire. And my tire didn't have a nail in it. It didn't have a puncture in it. It was just bone flat. And so for my safety, I'm wondering, is this a good idea? Of course, I'm not afraid. I'm going to continue to come forward and use this opportunity to share my public comments. So I don't think it's a good idea for us to give our address. And if that's something that needs to be updated or changed, can it be considered? I do live in the city, and I'm born and raised. I've always lived here in Putnam County. So in case, I'm not saying that someone did it, I'm just shedding light on this. If someone is trying to retaliate or intimidate me, I just want that to be on the record. I'm not afraid. I will continue to come forth and speak about my concerns. I did want to share that on July 16, 2024, shortly after one of our city commission meetings, I turned in my request to be placed on the city commission agenda. As you can see, I didn't make it on the city's agenda tonight. So here I am doing public comment. The difference between public comment and being placed on the city's agenda is we get an opportunity to present information to our commissioners, and they get to decide, they can take action, they can vote and take action. Well, unfortunately, I was not given that opportunity tonight. Some of the things that I wanted to talk about on my subject matter was code of ethics, conflict of interest, personal gains, brownfields, and Florida Department of Environmental Protection and the Environmental Protection Agency. I plan to come forward and present some facts because I know we like to deal in facts and some information. But unfortunately, I was robbed of that opportunity. Another thing I want to share is the fact that if we go to the website, the Division of Corporation, sunbiz.org, we can actually pull up some of this information. For example, some of the businesses that are in question in regards to the assistant city manager and his personal business dealings. Next door real estate, the public, you can pull that up. You can pull up JJJT1 LLC. You can also pull up Redesign Palatka. You can go to Sunbiz, it's public information. 900 Lemon Street LLC. And actually I can go on and on. But what I want to say is we would like to have an update on that investigation, because I recently attended a meeting Tuesday where we talked about Mr. Bell, who I guess is also on the inquiry or investigation. But I don't understand why we don't hear about the assistant city manager who is also on the inquiry or investigation. And to comment to Commissioner Campbell from the meeting last month, I didn't mean any disrespect when I said wasting our time. My point in saying that is I noticed, okay, if I can just wrap up, what I notice is there seems to be some bias when it comes down to discussing certain topics. For example, the ones that I wanted to present on the agenda, I didn't get that opportunity. In addition to that,
Ms. Gibbons, please finish up.
okay, I just wanted to share that, no disrespect to you as far as wasting time, but of course you are an elected official. You signed up for this job or this duty to serve us, the community. And that I want to pretty much point out the fact that it just seems like if it comes down to a scale, the scale is tilted. We hear more about Bell than we hear about the facts and the information that has been deemed public record. And I do have a question on that. The information that I requested from the city attorney that was emailed to me, is that actually public record or is it supposed to be kept confidential? Because I have a copy of what was left in Campbell's mailbox.
It's also not a debate. We're not going to answer your questions right now. There will be an opportunity.
Mhm.
Please wrap it up.
Okay, well, I think I pretty much touched based on the things that I wanted to share, but I've requested from the city, updated version of the request to be placed on the city, commission's agenda. This time I will fill it out. I did turn it in and I made a hard copy for myself, so I have a record of it. But this time I'll make sure I fill it out, I scan it, and I send in the electronic copy so that we both have a record. And hopefully, prayerfully, maybe I'll make it on the next agenda. Thank you.
Now, please no applause. Please no applause. Ms. Scroggins?
My name is Sherry Scroggins. I go by Tony Scroggins. Good evening, council. I'm here to address the fact of the road that goes up St. John's past St. John's Auto Body.
We need an address. I'm sorry.
1609 St. John's Avenue. We were told before any of it all began that it should only take a month's time to do. It began on June 6th. August 6th is already, it's 2 months. At this time, when we were talked to before anything started, we were told that there would be signs put out on 16th Street showing people that we are open. Instead, the only signs that are out there on 17 is detour, a straight arrow, not to turn there on 16th, but to detour it. If you come up St. John's Avenue, coming up towards, excuse me, Mosley, and there's barrels there, and you're looking, I was trying to get pictures for you, but I didn't know how many people was going to have them. But if you're driving up St. John's going towards Mosley, it looks like it's closed. And I'm closed. Every day I have customers calling my phone wanting to know, what, are you closed? What's going on? I don't know how to get there. I was promised signs. I was promised that we would show that St. John's Auto Body was open. This has done harm to my business. Is that, I know you don't have to answer question, but I think it's very wrong that me as a business woman and a business here in Palatka who pays very, very much taxes.
Could you please talk to?
Very much
Thank
taxes.
you.
Well, I tried to call you. I've called you twice and still I haven't had any response from you. Have a very nice lady talk to me on the phone. Yes, ma'am. I got very explicit about it, but no return phone call. So I decided to come here tonight. I didn't realize that to get on the agenda, I will do that. And then I will have the pictures of it. Because it's wrong. My business is being affected and no one cares.
I also, is that in the county portion or is that in our portion, Mr. Bell, of responsibility?
It's city.
It's in the city,
Okay,
however,
I know
it's,
in the city. I
but
know
it's a
that.
county project.
It's the county project. I know it's in the
Correct.
city. That's what I was asking in regards.
And I did want to let
I
you know,
didn't receive a call, but I'm sorry if I did. I will call it back.
2 calls.
But anyway. Yes. Go ahead, finish, ma'am.
I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you. I would like somebody to at least get a hold of me and explain to me why there's no signs.
I know.
Nothing to pertain that we are an open business, even though I've lost a lot of business.
My apologies and thank you. Mr. Bell, can we get her in touch with the county? And
yes,
can we provide signs? I don't know if that's possible.
absolutely. And I did visit the business and had a lengthy conversation with one of the owners there to explain the circumstances. So it wasn't, so he didn't feel as though we were not understanding of the situation.
The circumstances as far as getting signs, because I think overall, what she's really asking for, from what I just gathered, is at least the courtesy of receiving the signs.
Yes, and I explained that to him, and I did reach out to the county in reference to signage as well. So that's something that we're waiting on for the contractor for the county to provide.
Commissioner.
Who did you speak to? May I ask?
Yep, ma'am.
So,
I can't do that.
We'll get you that information though.
So she did mention that the project started on June 6th. And it was supposed to be 1 month. I do know we had some inclement weather in there for a brief period of time. So, but from the city side of things, it's within the city, but the county is running the project.
Correct.
Is there anything that we can do internally to make sure that we are addressing our residents' needs? Because that's what we need.
Yes, and short of what I mentioned as far as contacting the county and expressing those concerns from the city's perspective, the discussion with the business owners in that area, and I went door to door myself personally, and spent time with the businesses in that area. The county ran into a unforeseen issue with the gas pipe that was crossing the road and wanted it to be lowered, and that's what was the delay in the process. So
Can we get those updates as well, the commission, and we also need to appraise the residents? Do they know that there was a delay because of that?
the specific delay, I discussed that when I went door to door.
Okay. Just, we need to keep them informed.
I agree, but I think, again, we have the capabilities of getting signage as well, right?
Yes,
Is there a way that we would be able to communicate with the county that as a courtesy, that we would at least try to get that done so that we can show that I rode by today and I know exactly what it is that she's talking about. And again, if that was something that they were promised, and if there's something that we can do to intercept to just get that part corrected while everything else goes through that channel, I would love for us to see what we can do to make sure that that is done.
I agree, because it's the business still is in the city, even though it's a county project, that portion of the road. That's why I was asking that. I wanted confirmation, but I think since it is a city business, it would be a nice courtesy if we could do that.
and it is not something that we budgeted for, but it's something that we can
Yes, yeah.
address.
Thank you. Is there anybody additional here for public comments on non-agended items? Oh, go ahead, Commissioner. We're in the middle of public comment.
I did, Sam Deputy, 917 Carr Street. I did turn in a form. I have 2 thank yous, and then I'll save the third comment for issue later in the meeting. I walk my dog at night down St. John's Avenue, and 9:30 last night, I was shocked and so happy I could hardly handle it. There was our city crew sweeping the sidewalks, spraying the weeds, and cleaning the street at 9:30 at night. And so when we came down this morning, we had a clean downtown. And with our new pavement, because we've been 6.5 years, so we understand that. But we can drive downtown with our coffee in our hand and not wear it. And so the days are looking good. And I want to say thank you to the city crew for working so late at night to make sure that we were taken care of, because it felt extremely good this morning. And I also want to say thank you to Commissioner McCaskill. Her clarity on our issue that we've been dealing with, her eloquence of speech, the way she's taken that leadership, and for what I feel that she has compassion for the entire staff, has been a wonderful addition to this process that we're going through. And I want to thank her because I have been able to keep up with it and actually understand what we're talking about. And so thank you, Commissioner McCaskill, because you've done a great job with that leadership. So thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody else here for public comments on non-agenda items? Seeing none, we'll close public comments. On to commissioner and staff responses, if any.
I have a
Yeah.
response.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to respond to Ms. Givens with regards to the comment that was made with reference to what was in my mailbox. I'm not sure how that information was received, but I want it to be made clear to the my constituents as well as the commission. I directly provided that information to Mr. Bell, and outside of that, no additional persons was in recipient of that information directly to Mr. Bell. So I just wanted to make clear that I did not provide that information to any other citizen. I provided it to our city manager.
Thank you. Any other, Mr. Bell, do you have any other responses or information?
Share that the commissioner did provide that information to me. I was made aware that whomever placed that in the mailbox also had provided other copies to other individuals in the community. I don't know any names or who that would be. So it's quite possible it circulated in areas outside of that.
Sorry, that's my baby.
He's got your voice. He's gonna be. She's in training. Go ahead.
One other thing I would say in response to one of the comments I believe Ms. Duke made about the brickwork. So the work that we've done on St. John's highlights now, because it looks nice, the areas that still need attention. And we are not complete with that project yet because there's still the development of a punch list. There's still some areas that need to be addressed. And the contractor is responsible for the cleanup of the debris and residue that they left behind. So that will be addressed in the punch list.
Thank you.
You mentioned that signs were not in our budget. It wasn't budgeted for, but if the contractor is responsible for the work or any damages, wouldn't that be within their scope to pay for some signage? That would, so. But I understand that contracted with the county, but I think they could have collaborated that some kind of way a little better than what they had.
Right, and that's a discussion that we have to have, because I believe the commissioner was asking what we could take it upon ourselves to do. It's seemingly the responsibility of the contractor under the county contract included in that price. If we took care of it, we would have to negotiate repayment for that from.
I understand.
I mean, how much can a sign cost?
They're not that expensive at Dave's Tops and Trends to buy a couple of signs.
Second.
One thing, just one, but if they're running the project and they should be putting signs up in those particular areas, notifying the public of how they need to navigate that should be covered under their project. So just make sure that they're performing to the contract as is written.
I have a solution. Maybe we should have some of those signs made for the city that we can just put out in the different areas when we're dealing with stuff like that. So it may be something that we need to have in-house, a few signs, 3 or 4 signs that we can sit out as a courtesy, just that we have in-house. I think that may be something that's an investment, because of course we're always going to have progress being made in the city. And I think that's something that we should take in consideration of having in-house.
Any further discussion?
No,
Comments?
just hold them accountable. Just make sure we hold them accountable.
Thank you. Consent agenda. Is there any items to be pulled from the consent agenda?
Item I would like item I to be pulled for discussion, clarity.
Is that it?
Yeah, for me.
Does anybody else have any items?
I'll make a motion.
What with item J and item E and J.
Okay.
Just need the clarity.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the consent agenda excluding items E, I, and J for discussion.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. Item E, Ms. Krantz.
Thank you so much. Presenting to the commission item E, which is resolution 2024 R158, a resolution of the city of Palatka, Florida, approving the 2020 Federal Highway Administration adjusted urban area boundary for the Palatka urban area, Florida, and functional classifications for Putnam County, Florida, prepared by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Thank you. Mr. Griffith?
Yes, Mayor, Commissioners, this was requested by the Florida Department of Transportation. Over the past year, they worked with the city and the county. Basically, they amend the map to show our boundaries. They also ask about potential projects that we're aware of. They talk to both planning departments. And this map is useful. It helps in roadway planning efforts. And as you probably see from your description, it changes the functional classification of each one of the roads. So it helps DOT at a federal and at a state level allocate funding based upon the service levels.
Any questions, Mr. Griffith?
I just wanted to make sure that
Some of these maps are dated back to 2013. So what, I guess the question would be to me, what would bring this up now and talking about the urban boundary? Tell me what impact it would have on us as a community at this time, while we have to bring it forth. Even though I didn't pull it, but that's my question.
Yeah, so it's important that we make sure the map is current, Commissioner. If we don't include those areas for the expanded urban area boundary, we may miss out on potential funding, or it may affect Department of Transportation's funding for certain projects for different roads. They're going to look at these roads and make sure that they have the capacity for the number of vehicles based upon this map.
Do this have anything? Quite sure, I'm just asking for clarity. For urban infill for the city itself?
No, sir, this
What are we
is
talking about?
strictly a transportation tool used by Florida Department of Transportation.
Okay, so it wouldn't have any impact on city urban infill. Okay.
that was one of the reasons why I put, because I've seen the urban service boundary, and I know that we are working on squaring up our boundaries for the city, so we can get rid of a lot of the enclaves. I know that's one of the priorities that we have as well. All right, so, all right.
Commissioner Pascal?
And how often should these maps be updated?
They do it every 10 years.
Oh. And
Any,
this was in 2013, so we're at 11.
any other questions of Mr. Griffith?
Not for now.
Okay. I'm going to open the floor up to public comment. Does anybody have any comment? Any need to make a public comment on this particular agenda item? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Thank you. Ms. Krantz, item I.
Thank you. Presenting to you Resolution 2024 R150, a resolution of the City of Palatka authorizing award of ITB 2024-12 and execution of a contract with Router Inc. in an amount not to exceed $73,000 using fiscal year 2023 to 24 budgeted funds for the Hank Ryan Restroom project and providing for scrivener's errors.
Thank you, Mr. Barecki.
Hi, good evening, everybody. The intent is to award to Router, of course, like she said, 73,000. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I thought we capped it at 50,000.
No, sir, that was not 50,000.
We did.
Yep.
We kept that project at 50,000. Not only that,
Hmm.
we asked that before we say okay to these projects, we want to see what we're gonna get. Some rendering or something, we want, because it just takes me back to that riverfront and the amphitheater. It just didn't look like what we approved. So before we approve it, we ask that a rendering be included, which I don't see a rendering. So I don't know what we're gonna get for 73,000 or for 50,000, but we did cap it at 50,000.
So Commissioner, you originally budgeted at 50,000. We had one solicitation that went out. The bids came in over 100,000. At that point, you may recall, we actually reached out to the county and they offered to assist in the engineering services. A facility was designed when Mr. McMillan was still here and it was presented to you. That was what was put out to bid. And that's what came in at 73,000. In the budget, we have in excess of the 73,000. So this technically came in under budget. Again, this is up for your consideration. If you don't want to spend $73,000, just have to tell us.
I think that's relatively high. I mean, on a one toilet sink block building at the park. And I guess that's what it looked like because we don't have anything to look at. So we don't know what we get. So being, as Commissioner Bourne would always say, we got to be fiscal responsible for these taxpayers' dollars. And I would like to know what we're getting. So Joe, is that a big issue? So you could bring something and show us what we're getting if we're gonna approve this. I don't think it should be on a consent agenda. We don't know what we're getting.
I absolutely can, sir. Of course.
Okay, so can you bring it back on the next? I would say let's bring this back to us for approval.
Absolutely.
Acceptance.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me.
Was that your motion?
Yes.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'm so sorry. I didn't hear a date associated with that motion. To be brought back with a picture as of what date?
The next
The
meeting.
next meeting, if you have it, the next meeting.
Thank you.
So that's the September 12th meeting for clarification.
J.
Sorry, just recording that motion. Thank you. Switching gears to item J. Presenting resolution number 2024 R151, a resolution of the City of Palatka amending the fiscal year 2023 to 24 budget to fund the golf course contract capital improvement projects and providing for scrivener's errors.
Thank you. Questions?
Oh, I just need, I want to hear a little bit about the issues that they're having as it relates to the 13,000. We already, didn't they lose about, they kind of going backwards with 52,000 from a underperformance standpoint. And then we got another tack on another 13,400. I just need to kind of understand and know we're going the wrong direction here.
Mr. Bell, Mr. Cardy? who's
Ms.
next?
Cardy? Yes.
It's my understanding, per meeting with the department that is managing or assisting with the golf course, that they have unforeseen irrigation, additional expenses that they want to cover. The real reason for the budget amendment is that the profit sharing franchise has earned more revenue than we had budgeted. And so that was the real reason for preparing the budget amendment. So this additional revenue would then cover the additional expenses.
Okay, so this is the city portion of their portion.
This is them giving us money from the
Okay.
profit sharing agreement.
Okay, I'm good with that.
And with the intent to use it to improve the irrigation at the golf course.
So this expense is offset by revenue.
All right, that'll work. Appreciate that. And
Yes, sir.
we have paid it off, correct? The golf course is paid off,
Yes.
the loan, correct? Correct? Did we pay the loan out last year? Just asking, for clarity.
My understanding is that it was paid off last year.
Okay, I just need clarity. Okay.
Yes, sir. And I'll confirm if it is not, but I'm pretty sure that it was.
Thank you much.
Is there anybody here for public comment on this consent agenda item? Excuse me. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Is there a motion to approve? Second,
A second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Thank you. We do have a recess added into the agenda. Do we want to take a 10-minute recess? Is that the wish of the commission?
I think that we would be able to get through.
Okay.
before
Now
this.
keep going. I'm just.
Thank you though for the recess.
On to regular business, Ms. Krantz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Presenting to you item 8.
Yep.
Resolution number 2024 R-164, a resolution of the City of Palatka, Florida, authorizing an agreement with the St. John's Housing Partnership for administration of the city's affordable housing renovation program, adoption of the program document, and providing for scrivener's errors.
You, Mr. Griffith.
Thank you, Mayor. So Commissioners, you have two documents in your packet. The first is the program document, which you've seen before. We made the requested amendments from the last time you saw this. I'd just like to go over some of the high points here. So we did include a target area where applicants would get additional points. This target area was developed by mapping out all of our active code enforcement cases and looking to see if we had a pattern or an area of the city that could benefit from this program. And we did, and it's generally bounded by Reed Street to the south, US 17 to the west, North 5th Street to the east, and the city limits to the north. The income limit is at or below 80% of the area median income for Putnam County, as published by HUD. And you'll notice that is an exhibit to this, and that is subject to change. They change that frequently. This is a forgivable mortgage and lien. It reduces every year from 1 to 5 years, and on the 6th year, it's fully forgivable. The receiving party can transfer the house to a relative, and we would not enforce that lien. The project budgets are not to exceed $40,000 for total expenses, but there is an ability to go up to $50,000 with the city manager's approval. And in addition to that, any project over $20,000, that's a requirement of the program that it shall address visual blight and or an exterior code violation. I was gonna go over the contract, and then we have Mr. Bill Lazar here from St. John's Housing Partnership, Inc., and he can talk about the proposed program rollout. All of this is assuming that we get the Department of Commerce's approval on the contract and the program. And following your approval tonight, we would be transmitting to them tomorrow. Mr. Lazar. So while he's coming up, I'll just give you the general terms of his agreement. It is a 3-year agreement commencing on October 1, 2024 and ending in September 30th, 2027. His compensation is capped at $3,003 per household. That is comprised of 2 numbers. The first is $1,870 for the inspection and $1,133 for the program administrative fee. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Lazar to talk about the rollout if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity.
Jonathan and I were just looking over it, but basically right now, depending on how long it takes the Department of Commerce to review and approve it, it'll probably roll out in October. We've done a little bit of preliminary work, got a list from code enforcement and kind of went through that and screened as best we could the homesteaded property, because your program is designed to help people whose property is homesteaded. So we've got a number of folks there, and then depending on however else it's marketed, we'll start probably in October and do the income verification, everything else. And then we'll do inspections and scope of work. And then we'll be putting out the bid to local subcontractors or contractors, depending on each house is going to be different. We don't know until we get started what kind of work will need to be done. But we understand what y'all are concerned about, both in terms of health and safety issues and issues related to sort of general blight, making the outside, fixing it up for the neighborhoods, that sort of thing. So this is what we're prepared to do. Our first phase is just going to be 10 homes. The idea being it's for all of us to sort of work out the kinks. If you like what we're doing, we'll continue. If you don't, we'll learn from it and try and figure out what next steps are. I'll be glad to answer any questions if y'all have them.
Thank you. Commissioner Boyle?
Yes, I have one question as it relates to the areas that was called out. One thing we call out Reed Street, and we gave a location, and then we said North Fifth Street and East. So that would be going away from going toward Sixth Street and further as it relates to houses that from an affordability standpoint, I would think that some of those houses would also qualify for that Fifth Street to the west.
It's not exclusive. The idea is y'all have a priority system. We're going to score points based on income, location, and everything else. So if someone is in those areas, they'll get a few extra points as far as y'all have selected that as an area to focus on. But it's not the only area we'll be focusing on. Is that what you're asking?
You said North Fifth Street to the east. That's in the North Historic area, isn't it? Right.
No, I believe the east boundary is North Fifth Street.
So actually, that's a Scrivener's error.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Right.
It's supposed to say west, yeah.
What I'm saying is, it is in the North Historic area.
So the area would go west from,
Okay, that's what I'm saying. That's why I understood what was read out, and so I picked up on it, and I'm
Right.
commenting.
You caught it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Second.
260.
Are you all set,
That's it.
Commissioner
Oh,
Boyle?
I'm sorry.
No, I'm
Okay.
asking if he's all set. before we go to you.
Let's see. Go ahead.
Commissioner Jones.
Cassie. Oh, I thought you said. And it also said going by the HUD guidelines. If we go by HUD guidelines, most people that qualify for HUD are in subsidy housing.
No, sir. I hate to say it, but there's a lot of people in Florida that fall under what HUD considers 80% of the area median. There are working class families that their income, essentially it's income based by family size. So it may be $65,000, and it sounds like a lot of money until you realize it's for a family of 5.
You said 80%.
80% of the AMI and in the,
or US HUD.
right.
Give me some numbers, please. Some hard numbers.
That's
So-
30.
So the median income right now is what?
Your median income, for Putnam County for a family of 4 is $59,100. So when you say 80% AMI, that means if there's one person in the household, they can't make more than 36,550. They can make a lot less than that and they're eligible, but they all have to be homeowners. And so generally speaking, that's the guidelines that affordable housing programs use.
Right. So what I'm saying, usually if a person is making that kind of money, they can't even afford a house right now. That's what I'm saying. So it won't, go ahead.
I agree.
So that's almost like a moot point. So they're not gonna be eligible to people that really need this program.
No, I think this is exactly what you're trying to do. These are people, if that person making less than $52,000, if they own a house, they probably are struggling to pay the bills and take care of everything else. This program is to help them. If they're under 52,000, they are eligible for it. If they're over 52,000, they're not eligible.
but it's for current low-income homeowners.
So let's go to a 3-person unit house, family unit. So you're saying 29,350 would be their median income for eligibility.
No, that's 50%. Go down to 80%. 80% is the cap. You will find a lot of families that are making 50% that will apply. They need help too. But the maximum income a family of 3 can make is $46,950.
Okay. All right. So with the I think we talked about this in the workshop where insurance companies are cracking down on folk that
Yes, sir.
to have a new roof
Yep.
by a certain time certain. And a lot of people, I don't care what they make, they'll probably have $10,000 and $15,000 set aside
You're right.
to get a new roof. Are we gonna be able to help those folk? Those are the folk that kind of like between.
Well,
and those
that's-
are the people that really
Right.
that are in a predicament that need this kind of help.
I can tell you right now, when y'all took a list about 2 years ago, you had 200 people show up in less than 24 hours asking for help. So we will be way oversubscribed just simply because, and if I count the number of just seniors that I know of who own their home, they paid off the mortgage and the insurance company doesn't want to do it without a new roof, that alone would spend your entire pot of money. They will be eligible. They will be prioritized.
So that's why we fought hard for a program like this. And when we're going out coding folk houses and property, we need to try to have the best, even if we use all the money doing those things, that's more important because that's the big bill that.
Right.
So if you go in and you fix the kitchen cabinets, the front doors and windows, but they need a roof.
No,
and
no.
They won't.
Well, I'm sorry. Why would I fix the kitchen cabinet if I don't fix the roof first? And I'll tell you what I normally do. If I put a roof on, I put a metal roof on because it's the last roof that house will ever need. It costs you a little bit more, but it protects them for the rest. They're not going to have to argue with any insurance company about how long the roof's going to last. So you've got to always fix the roof. If the roof is not leaking and it's 5 years old, I wouldn't worry about it. If it's 10 or 12 years old, we're going to tell them we need to replace the roof because your insurance company is going to throw you under the bus before long.
I got exactly what you're saying. I want you to hear me out.
Okay.
Can we, and I know what we talked about in the workshop, but I have talked to countless people looking for help with the roof problem. Can we concentrate on helping those folk with this program, some kind of way, do both? Maybe just a roofing project.
Yeah, I think you can. I mean, that's at a certain point, that's y'all's discretion. The idea behind it is right now, there's a scope of work saying, look at the entire house, trying to address any health and safety, starting with the roof. Okay. And the way I look at things is you start with the roof and then you look at the electrical panel, because if it's a fire hazard, we want to fix that. You may not ever get to the kitchen cabinets because the major mechanical things, the things that somebody can't pay for on their own, is the roof, the HVAC, the electric, and maybe major plumbing, and then whatever else is in the yard. So that's the big priority. You could start, and you could say with this money, if you like what we do after the first 10, and you say, you know what, we got 40 people that have called and are qualified that need help just with a roof. You could say, we're just going to change our focus and we're going to run a 2-tiered approach. We're going to do just roofs with this pot of money, and we're going to do the rest of the house with this.
That's exactly what I just asked you.
Yeah,
So,
I think you can. That's not the way it's currently set up, but there's
Well,
nothing that says you can't do that.
Right. So the way things change and climate change is just kind of like identified what's a real issue right now. So can we, commission, think about changing this program to be that way?
Well, I think I can help out a little bit because I think that's one of the focus areas that we discussed when we had the workshop. And the first item on the list of repairs is the repair or replacement of roof and roofing materials. And then it says that any visual blight and exterior code violations have to be addressed if the grant goes over $20,000. So a roof would be an exterior condition that would have to be addressed on the front end if the total amount expended is over $20,000. And so a roof itself is going to be on average how much?
Depending on here, $10,000, $12,000 maybe.
Right. So that should be one of the first items, exterior conditions that need to be addressed.
I just want to make sure that we are concentrating on those things. 'Cause
Yes, sir.
it is a problem.
Yep.
All right.
That should be.
Commissioner Barr?
And then again, this is the first phase of it, and we got one or two other phases that is coming. So this
I
is trial.
think, I'm sorry, based on the money you've got, you're probably gonna help 50 to 60 households.
Right, so, but also on the amount, I thought we agreed during the meeting, I think it was around 40,000, when 40,000 that we.
This
capped it.
says 40 and we can cap it to, we can go to 50 with your city, I guess with the staff's permission. City manager would say, there's a reason we want to go above 40, but everybody, the target's going to be 40,000.
They didn't say that in the meeting.
Yes, sir.
Did they say that in the meeting?
I thought it
We
was
said
40,000.
40 max, we said 40 max. I don't recall with staff permission. We said 40, we need to stay to 40.
Okay.
We were all there, so. I think I have a picture of it. We said 40.
Any other questions of Mr. Mazur? Or you looked that up?
No.
Okay, I don't know what you're up to.
We just said 40.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, go ahead, Ms. McCaskill, sorry.
I just want to make sure we're moving forward with clarity. We said 40 and you say you beg to differ?
No, I agree.
Okay, thank you.
That's what it was said, 40. I think that the interest was to build flexibility in if it was needed, but clearly the commission is saying that we want to draw the line at 40. And so I will not approve anything
Right.
over 40.
That's the easiest way. You don't have to
Thank you.
change a thing. That's what it says. Not a problem.
Thank you.
Anything else?
So
Thank you.
it was just brought to my attention, in speaking with city attorney, that the terminology that we have here in terms of the limits, the way it was expressed is intended to point out that the eastbound, eastmost boundary would be Fifth Street, which is what I think you were saying.
Oh, you mean the eastmost boundary will be?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Okay, just,
So we won't be going east of Fifth Street, we'll be going west.
okay, just needed more clarity, because, yeah.
Anything else? Thank
That's
you.
good. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks.
As you all know, received an email, number 9 has been pulled.
Madam
Did you
Mayor,
approve that, Mr. Bell? Okay.
We haven't acted on that item.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Do we have a motion to approve
What we just discussed.
what we just discussed?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. I'm waiting.
Madam Mayor, may I ask if the motion is to take out the language regarding the 50,000 piece?
To cap it at
It need to
40.
be capped at 40.
Capped at 40.
Don't need to.
It's not, it's.
It need that, well, we need to correct whatever's in writing,
Well,
Right.
but not tonight, but.
What's in it?
Scribbling's there.
I think that it's clear that he said he will not be approving. They stated that it can remain the same, but we've given direction not to
Exceed.
approve anything over the 40.
But we just don't, we want to make sure that everything is clear, just in case if some of our people may not, if they're not in place. We need to make sure that if anybody else read that document, that they know that it's 40.
Well,
So there's no, it's,
Okay.
it's
I mean, it's
straight
a-
clear.
Pleasure of the commission. We can go ahead and do that.
and that's also on another section, page 280. If we're
So
gonna do it, we might as well do it
move out,
completely.
remove any
So,
references to
Yeah,
exceeding
correct it here as well.
and just go with $40,000 as.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So,
And remove that section where it says and total expenses for any specific project will not exceed 50,000. We just got rid of that.
So who made the motion initially? I'm sorry.
Commissioner Boren, but I'm not sure who's seconding. Sorry.
Can you just make sure
I'll-
it's specific in the motion, please?
I'd like to make the motion for the affordable housing to not exceed 40,000 per instance.
Let me make sure as far as protocol, there was a motion that was already on the floor. You'll have to remove your motion for reconsideration or amend because there was a motion already on the floor that was properly second.
I'd like to rescind the motion, the initial motion. And I would like to correct that motion by stating that for the affordable housing project, that each instance is not to exceed $40,000 per.
Second.
The motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. Number 9 was pulled. Correct, Mr. Bell? We received that email.
I'm sorry, yes, that was correct. Request to remove number 9 from the agenda.
So we're going to 9B now.
Correct.
Are you going to speak to 9A, Mr. Agamo?
Why would you speak to it if it's
We
been
pulled it.
removed?
I'm sorry, what?
Why would you speak to it if it's been removed?
That's what I'm saying, but he's up here. I
No,
wasn't sure. I was-
9A was removed. Now we're moving to
We're now
9B.
To B,
Right, I
9A.
believe that. I thought she said, did he want to address?
No, I didn't, I wasn't sure that he was going to speak to 9B or Ms. West, so that's what I was asking. Go ahead.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, Commissioners, we received a request to postpone this item, so the motion would be to continue the item to the next city commission meeting in September.
Yeah, we
And
were,
I have a copy of the written request if you want a copy.
yeah, so we're going to 9B then.
Okay, 9B, please.
This is a second reading for your procedures for quasi-judicial proceedings, which you do not have. They're a fundamental part of land use law and are legally required in the Florida statutes for all land use changes. If we establish a procedure that's codified in our code, it will provide transparency for not only you as city commissioners, but staff and the public. When they come.
Thank
This is
you.
sec-
Second reading. Is there anybody here?
Would you like me to read it?
I'm sorry, what?
Would you like me to read it?
Yes, please.
Okay, ordinance number 2024-09, an ordinance of the city of Palatka, Florida, creating municipal code sections 54-1 through 54-6, establishing procedures for the quasi-judicial proceedings, providing for severability, providing for an effective date, and providing for scrivener's errors.
Thank you. Is there anybody here for public comment on 9B? Seeing none, we close public comment. Do we have a motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Thank you.
Well, can we just stop for a
Discussion.
question?
Yeah.
Okay,
Question,
sorry.
we're moving kind of fast.
We are moving fast because it's
I
the
like it.
second reading. I didn't realize you had.
Well, it was
Okay, go
second
ahead.
reading, but
Go ahead.
how did we vote the last time? I need to understand this a little bit more. Moving too fast. But was there an issue with what we had and we said we would go ahead and move forward with this? Was that correct? When we said that we would approve it until we came back to this meeting?
It's an ordinance, so it requires a have to read.
I understand that. We're talking about, okay, we know this is the second reading because we initially said that we would approve it on the first reading. If there were any issues or whatever, was all of those things taken care of and for the commission understands what was all in this particular?
Yes, there were no issues that were raised at the first hearing by any of the commissioners or any member of the public.
Yeah, maybe I got that confused with one, the other problem. Okay, well,
I have
thank
a
you.
question. I do have a question. So in the past, when we talk about establishing procedures and doing future land use stuff, what procedures were done in the past? And if not, I mean, what's really kind of tough for me to read, and it says we lack those procedures when we actually had a mayor that was an attorney, city manager that was an attorney, and an attorney, staff attorney, serving the last 8 years, I know for sure, at least 4. What were they doing and what were they doing in the past, and what was either wrong with it, or or tell me what's needed? It's
Apparently, previously, rezonings were not considered quasi-judicial proceedings, which basically I have done an extensive amount of land use law here in the state of Florida. They are statutorily required to be quasi-judicial proceedings. So I'm not sure why that was the case. But now we have a policy that we can follow. You may recall we've had some instances in the fall and winter where you had appeals from your lower boards, specifically your Historic Preservation Board. This is going to provide a clear process, so it's not on a case-by-case basis. You know what to expect. The parties know what to expect. It's been time allocations, and this is a format that is based on my years of conducting quasi-judicial proceedings, both on behalf of municipalities and as an opponent to particular rezoning matters. I believe the planning director also is strongly in favor of having a set process for quasi-judicial. So this would be basically all of your rezonings, all of your development orders would come in the form of a quasi-judicial hearing. It doesn't include future land use map changes, which are quasi-legislative.
In the words of Commissioner McCaskill, I got some unreadiness, and there's a lot here to look at and be well abreast on, definitions, and I want to actually know what I'm approving at this point. And it's just me. If everybody else is okay with it and they're abreast and they're well versed in this, I would like some time to actually to look over this, because we're agreeing to start conducting business in a different manner. And there's some things that I have questions about that I don't think it'd take a long time for you to answer right now.
I'd like to make the recommendation that, again, these are matters that have been before us. So anytime for questions or things of that magnitude, they could have been asked prior to tonight's meeting so that we will be able to properly move forward, understanding that this is not the first time we've seen this information.
Okay, so if I ask you a question right now,
I'm not up here
pertaining to this.
Any questions that I've had, I've made sure that I've asked my questions.
So again, it's clear that Commissioner Borum is probably in the same, it's not clear, but he had the same concerns, but I really do have these concerns. I just want to put it out there now. If the rest of the board don't feel that way, that's okay. So it was time for discussion, and that was my part of this. When you start talking about impeaching witnesses and rebut evidence, cross-examining, that is sounding like court of law. And I probably spent more time in court of law than everybody else up here. But so that doesn't mean you understand this facet of the law. And so if everybody else is,
So quasi-judicial hearings are based loosely on the Florida rules of evidence. You do have an opportunity to call expert witnesses. You do have an opportunity to cross-examine. That is all laid out in Florida law. There are no surprises here. It follows the strict requirements of what Florida case law and statutory law present. That being said, you've been functioning for years without a policy in place. If you have questions and you want to postpone this to the September hearing, I'm more than happy to speak with you, Commissioner, one-on-one to address any questions that you may have. But there are no surprises here. We're strictly following Florida law.
I would love that opportunity. So if everybody else is okay with it, I want to take that opportunity.
I like to do the same thing as well.
So, go ahead,
So-
Commissioner
No,
McCaskill.
the motion's been passed, just we need to go processes to allow them.
All right, right.
Let's tell you, so we go to a vote now.
All in favor?
What was the motion?
Was there,
Who was in question? there?
She said motion had been passed.
We had already passed the current, the one before.
this is the
Commissioner-
second reading, I think is the point
Okay.
too.
Before Commissioner Borum spoke.
Yep.
We moved fast and we already passed it. I want to know the process.
No, we
So-
have not voted yet. We haven't passed. We
Did
haven't.
we not say, and then Commissioner Borum said, am I right?
No, we
We
have
didn't
not
vote.
passed. We have not voted.
We didn't vote.
I would check with the clerk just to make sure that,
Just wanna make sure.
She did the reading.
Ms. Krantz.
I haven't recorded the vote yet, but then again, I had to stop and take minutes of the discussion.
So there was not a vote, there was a motion and a second. How do we want to proceed? I can call the vote. All in favor?
So
Aye.
the,
No? Okay, you
Yes.
lost me here for a minute,
I would ask the clerk to reread the motion, please.
please.
Motion to approve.
And it was seconded. And so if you want to push this to a later meeting, then this motion needs to fail. If you don't want to push it to a later meeting, this motion needs to pass.
Okay. It needs to pass to push it to later meeting.
No, it needs to
Fail.
fail.
Fail, it needs to fail to
in
move
order
it
to
to the
push
next,
it.
to the future meeting.
Okay, nay.
so.
What?
Nay.
Nay, Commissioner McCaskill, nay, Commissioner Campbell. Commissioner Jones,
Nay.
Commissioner Borum,
Nay.
Mayor Robbie Craig.
Yay.
Yay. Motion failed 4-1.
Now we need a motion to push this to the next meeting.
I make,
Motion to table this item, 9B until the September 12th, 2024 meeting.
second.
We have a
But-
mo-
Push it.
Well, table
next
is fine.
meeting.
As long as you can table, as long as you table it to a date specific.
So table it to September 12th.
A second that motion.
It's the 12th, right? 2024.
we have a motion and a second, all in favor,
Aye.
opposed, nay.
Motion passed 4-1.
On to number 10, emergency item. Discussion direction, are you going to read it, Ms. Krantz, or do you want me to read it? Discussion direction resolution 2024 R153, authorizing the execution of a retainer agreement with the firm Sniffen and Spellman, PA, for investigative services and amending the FY 2023-2024 budget accordingly. Commissioner Caskell, do you want to speak to this bit yet again?
Just if anybody has questions,
I'm sorry.
anybody has any questions? for
Does
me?
anybody have any questions of Commissioner McCaskill about this?
Just what's the estimated cost, Commissioner, as you see it? What do you think of? I know it's up to, but what do you, if you're talking real numbers, what do you think it would probably be if we can continue with this investigation?
That's a good question. Well, I did consider what you all asked me to do as far as cost efficiency. I reached out to the Commission of Ethics and to see if they would be willing to help us out and take on this. They said that they cannot provide services unless they received a referral from FDLE, the state's attorney's office, or the governor. I did call the Florida League of Cities and speak with our ambassador, Aaron Russell, to see if we can get support from the league. She informed me that we would have to have our attorney, because they have bylaws that they can't advise us on anything, that we would have to have our attorney to call their attorneys and identify herself as an attorney and share, and then they will let us know whether or not they would share what they can, what they're able to do with our attorney, but they can't advise us. I did call the senior advisors with fccma.org and explain to them and ask them for support and guidance, and they said they do not advise on related issues. So it looks like we're left with the company that I reached out to. When I did speak with her again, the first time after you all talked about the $30,000, she did inform that it definitely would not exceed, she didn't expect it to exceed 30,000. But because of the time frame that was given, they were going to use 3 attorneys, which would be like 10, not to exceed 10,000 apiece. So now if we're not pressed for time, it would maybe just 1 attorney and not exceed 10,000. But at that time, it was going to require them canceling court dates, 3 attorneys working on it and trying to get it done expeditiously to make sure that we that they had a scope and finding, some findings and conclusions by, a date certain. So
we're looking at 10, like around 10.
if it's on, yes, if we're not pressed for time, the initial fee that she gave was not to exceed $10,000 because it would only require 1 of them to be utilized, and she would be the senior attorney working on the case.
Thank you.
I do have a question. And it just once we approve or deny, speaking to if we approve, where does attorney elderly, is she still a part of the process?
Absolutely not. And if she's on here, I would like for her to speak to that if she's on. Okay.
I'm comfortable
Okay.
with your answer.
Absolutely.
And the
No,
reason
that was-
that I am stating that some of the things that I heard at the last meeting drew a concern.
Mhm.
And I think, and for this to be fair and impartial, I think that it would be to the benefit of her not to have anything dealing with this particular matter. And if there's something that needs to be referred to an attorney, that it be brought to you and we consider having someone who is not associated with us in any capacity to give us that fair and impartial information. I believe there are avenues for us to get that, but I would not like for her to have any more dealings with regards to this particular matter as it pertains to the inquiry or investigation of our city manager.
Yes, sir.
I agree with Commissioner Campbell.
I agree.
Any other questions of Commissioner McCaskill about this? If not, I do have some public comment cards. Ms. Kitchens?
And in addition, if there would be so friendly to, and I'm not sure, and maybe legal, I would like to have something documented in writing expressing this. Again, I wish not to have any dealings, have her deal in any capacity as an advisory to this particular inquiry.
Ms. Kitchens?
Allegri Kitchens, 1027 South 12th Street, Palatka, Florida. At this point, I don't see any reason to continue to investigate Mr. Bell. I don't see any reason to hire an attorney's firm to investigate him. I thoroughly checked him out in December 2022. No legal charges were ever held against him. You all know what his background is. As far as I know, he's got no criminal record. I would be highly surprised if he did. And the only thing that would let you fire him basically would be a criminal record. I don't think the man is a criminal. So I think it's a waste of taxpayers' money to pay a firm to investigate him looking for some kind of a legal thing against him. I don't believe he's a criminal in any way, shape, or form. And there's no saying about closing the barn door after the horse is out. He's already hired. Now he's out of his probationary period. Why investigate him? He's not a criminal. I'm sure of that. I'd be highly surprised. I'll buy every one of y'all a Coca-Cola if he turns out to be a crook, but I don't think he is. And I think this is a total waste of money at this point. The only complaint against him is him mishandling, abusing employees And you all have already passed that over, so why waste taxpayers' money investigating the man for what? I think it's a waste of money. Drop the investigation on him. Thank you.
Mr. Weeks?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and City Commissioners. I agree with Ms. Kitchens wholeheartedly.
Give your name and address for the record.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't live in the city of Palatka. Richard Weeks, 103 Riverside Boulevard, East Palatka. I agree with Ms. Kitchen wholeheartedly. And this has been going on for quite a while. And maybe there is a problem. Perhaps there could be something done internally where some of the people talk together, maybe have a whole staff meeting or special meeting with Mr. Bell and the city commission. I'm not sure the protocol of anything that could be done, but I think it's really to turn the table and do something positive. The Palatka Daily News has been loving you guys. You know, they're writing the articles, they're taking the pictures, it's going on and on and on. And most of my experience in the last 25 years was a company where I was a businessman and entrepreneur. But before that, I had a lot of corporate experience, about 30 years experience, where I encountered new CEOs, new managers, new supervisors, and there was always somebody, and there's usually a group that didn't like them. So all emotions can flare, and I'm not saying that is the situation, but I think getting together, putting our big pants on, men and women, and having a talk or discussion is the only way to do this. And give something to the Palatka Daily News so the taxpayers can see something positive about what's going on. Mr. Bell is qualified, and I didn't know that he didn't have any previous type charges or anything like that, but he's very professional. He has the requirements and the education and the background to handle this. If something did happen and we hired a new city manager, that process takes maybe 6 months, and then you're paying $30,000 to a company. Then you're paying Mr. Bell $70,000. To me, it's a no-brainer. But I wish you guys would, and women, would think it through thoroughly, and please consider turning what's been very negative into a positive situation. I believe we need a little resolution. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Is there anybody else here for public comment on this topic? Ms. Givens?
Good evening again. My name is Tarsha Gibbons. My address is 225 Stillwell Avenue here in Palatka, Florida. In my opinion, this bogus investigation is a waste of our money and our time. We know who owns the newspaper. And unfortunately, this whole process, to me, this is my opinion, seems to be quite biased. We have 2 people supposedly on the investigation, but we only hear about 1. And I'd like to know why that is. Now, we know when we get a new city manager, you know, you have a crew of people that have been here and they may have a relationship with that existing city manager. But at the same time, we need to be dealing with the facts. And you all have the facts, but we waste time on speculation. This could have been handled, I believe, in a better way. It's been quite draining that we're constantly brought to special call meetings, things of that nature in relation to Mr. Bill, when our focus should be on your assistant city manager. You have that information, you have those facts, but I noticed that even today when I made some, presented some information on that briefly, it seems like people want to hush me up, but we have a right as citizens here in Palatka to know what's going on. I agree with Ms. Allegra Kitchens on what she shared. And Ms. Allegra, she comes here and she speaks her mind quite often. And I feel like every citizen should have that opportunity where they can come out and share their concerns. My concern is I would like for us to move forward as a city. I feel like we have so much potential. Palatka is a beautiful place. Unfortunately, one of my questions too is a lot of these employees that turned in their information, which of course is going to be kept from us, so we won't be able to read or find out what they're saying about Mr. Bell. Could it be, or is it possible that some of these employees actually left or resigned from the city because it turns out that they actually purchased property and didn't disclose that as an employee with the city? Is that a possibility? Is it a possibility that things are being uncovered that has been quite controversial that, I don't know, it seems like maybe someone doesn't want the public to know about, but it is public information. So sometimes people leave for specific reasons. And it'd be nice to get down to the bottom of that, why some of these employees are truly leaving. Are they in violation? Did they violate the code of ethics? Are they doing things for personal gains? Is their behavior a conflict of interest as they were employed with the city? Those are questions that we would like to be answered as well. Thank you.
Anybody else here for public comment? Please come up. You please fill out a card afterwards and give your name and address for the record.
I'm Kay Dubin. I live at 1322 Kirby Street. I've been there since 2003, so I'm a fairly long-term member of the community. I retired about 12 years ago from the health department here. I managed a program for 11 counties through our Putnam County Health Department. I know a little bit about management and trying to get along with a lot of different people. And I have to say, I was so disappointed in this article that came out the other day. I feel like we have an opportunity here to make some apologies, and that is a two-way street, Mr. Bell. The woman who stood up and vouched for you said that Miss Shelley Schinker is not even a resident of Palatka. She lives in East Palatka. So I'd like to set that straight. It was in the Palatka Daily News that she was a resident of Palatka. I pay taxes here. I've been paying taxes. I pay all your salaries. And I've learned how to speak Magnolia. I'm not always good at it, but you've offended a lot of people. And a lot of those people work for you. A lot of those people are taxpayers. And I really think you need to do some apologizing to your staff, to the public, for your dishonesty with the car and the tracking system that you disabled without permission and without talking with anyone. Okay, dishonesty. That was the first thing that registered when I saw that in the paper about removing the tracking thing from the car. We used to get cars from the health department. We had to turn them in when we got done with them. They knew where we went. They tracked our mileage. There was no problem. I wasn't worried about anybody following me. And I'm sorry, if you're so paranoid that you're worried about somebody following you, you need to be thinking about where you were and what you were doing. So it's time to do some serious apologizing. You've created a bad atmosphere here in the city hall, and it needs to be made up to the people of Palatka and to the city employees. Thank you.
Mr. Deputy, name and address for the record. Please fill out a yellow card afterward, please.
No, in our Sam Deputy 917 Carr Street, in our family, we call those come to Jesus meetings, where we talk. I agree, because I am, with a lot of being said, I'm concerned because of the brain drain. When 9 people or whatever leave the city, we don't know where the pipes are. We don't know where things are, because those that have worked on them are gone. The gas line that they have to move, who knew it was there? The brain drain as people leave, and you don't leave the black notebook, is deadly. So our city is suffering on 2 levels. We're suffering from employees who have left, and we're suffering because we have a city manager who has got his hands tied at the same time. And so it's the citizens that end up suffering. You know what I'm talking about. So if we can work this out, let's work this out. If we can't work this out, let's make a decision. And that's up to to those of you up there to make a decision and not keep kicking this can down to the next meeting. We want to move on because this is the time for Palatka to shine. This is our moment. And I firmly believe, as you've heard me say before, our moments are yet to come. I'm not looking at the glory of the 50s and 60s and 70s. I'm looking at the glories of the 20s and the 30s coming up. So let's make some decisions and see what we can do. Thank you.
Anybody else here for public comments on this particular item? Seeing none, we close public comment.
I do have a question about something. If someone wanted to make a public comment on this issue or any issue of the sort, do they have to be in the room or could they have done it on Zoom?
They have to be in the room.
Okay. And is that their policy on that? Just want to. For public.
Okay.
Just want to make sure.
Okay, so we have, as the agenda item says, a decision to make about whether to hire this firm to investigate Mr. Bell. We made a commitment to do the investigation. Since there's an open investigation, those complaints remain confidential with this commission, but we do have them. And I think we need to make a decision as a commission how to move forward. And acknowledge that our employees have rights as well.
Right. So the question is, Commissioner, did you say ELC could not take it?
No. Yes, sir. I called, yes, Commissioner Ethics.
So with all of those things being said, and the Commission on Ethics, all of these different things, we have to find some way to address the staff's issues and our concerns. So there should be something that we need to move forward with as it relates to that. Now, the other option I thought I heard was that if we had our city attorney to reach out to the city attorney, I mean, the attorney for the Florida League of Cities to have them to do it. And that would be at a no cost.
She did reach out and they wouldn't.
They can't do it.
Yes, sir.
So sound like all of our options are out of the box as it relates to somebody coming in and inquire and investigate this whole thing. So I don't think the $10,000 would be, now, if there were other options, yes. But we would like to have some form of inquiry to kind of understand what is going on in the city so that we're addressing everybody's needs.
Commissioner Jones.
Oh, okay. Well, I want everyone to remember when I first brought the concerns to the commission, and the purpose of the investigation was to make sure that we were fair and impartial to Mr. Bell, because in the process, he would get to know what the allegations are and be able to respond to them. And the attorney wanted to make sure that if he has any witnesses himself, that they can interview them as well. So I wanted to make sure that we're fair and impartial to Mr. Bell, as well as address the concerns of the employees that were brought to my attention.
Commissioner Jones.
So my question is, as it relates to Commission on Ethics and EEOC, those type of complaints are typically in reference to employee relations, things like discrimination, things of that nature. So, did they not take or deny taking the claim because it doesn't meet the criteria?
Good question. I'm glad you brought that up. The claim has to be made. So if individuals have claims, they can call them. The claims have to be made. So I wasn't calling for a claim. I called for direction in this process.
You have another question?
Well, I mean, I just got a comment. So claims have to be made by each individual person directly to the Commission on Ethics.
Yes.
So, well, if that could happen and it could still save us money, then those statements would be private between the individuals and the Commission on Ethics. And that way we could not even be part of any of it. Because the individuals already submitted their statements of what have you. So I think that would be a clean way to go.
Commissioner McCaskill.
Let me hear what you got to
Okay,
say.
Commissioner Campbell first.
I want us to be mindful of the standard that we set as we proceed and we go forth with this inquiry. We are not in a position to delegate what staff is to do. We have one hire. That hire is the city manager. So as we proceed, we have a duty to make sure that we do what we're supposed to do to protect those who have come to us now that we have received that information. We're not at liberty, as stated in our last meeting, to do our own fact finding of any sort. Us providing direction to city employees, I believe we outstep our boundaries. Am I correct, legal? If that was to be the case of them individually, or we make the recommendation that those employees who have come before go the route that was just mentioned by Commissioner Borum. We don't have that authority, do we?
I didn't give not
I-
a single staff.
Commissioner Borum, this is my opportunity to speak.
You did
and
not have the floor yet.
I said I didn't say that you gave it as a direction, but it was a suggestion if it was to go that way. We don't have that authority. Exactly. So we have a duty to do with the information that we have been provided. And I feel that if anything comes out of this inquiry or investigation, it would allow us to be able to better serve those, or the city manager would be able to better serve those that report directly to him based on some of the information in which I received when I read the letter. I would like for us to continue to move forward with this investigation. When we say a waste of taxpayers' money, we're saying that some of the things that were brought to us are not of great concern. And we have a duty as Mr. Bell being our employee, for him the ability to have his name cleared. And I think this process would allow for it to either be cleared or for information to be brought to the attention of a thorough investigation or inquiry, or whatever word that we want to say. But again, we have to take in consideration, although we have one hire, we have individuals that report to Mr. Bell that have concerns that may either further complicate the work environment for our employees, which may cause us to have other things that happen as a result. But at the end of the day, I believe the inquiry or investigation will only allow us to operate in a better capacity for not only Mr. Bell, but for our employees.
Commissioner Borum.
Okay. I just want to set this record straight. I did not give any staff directions
And I didn't say you
to
did.
proceed to EEOC or any other agency.
I never said you did.
I got the floor, you please. No.
One at a time, please.
No, you
Yes,
tell
yeah, I know
me.
you have.
I have the floor.
I wasn't telling you, I was saying
Okay,
one at
but
a
you let
time.
them
Tim.
know.
Okay,
Technically, I wasn't done speaking, but you jumped in, but.
okay,
She
stop.
called me to speak.
Point of order. Commissioner Borum, please.
Okay, so, but anyway, I just want the staff to know and understand that I have fought for staff ever since I've been on this commission. And most of, even some of the ones that left know that. And the ones that still here know that what I do for staff. But again, I was looking at the options that was on the table and trying to save the taxpayer dollars if we had another pathway to go. That's my only that was my only issue and concern. If we could save the dollars, let's do that. But let's use an agency that is qualified to do the investigation. I was not in no way saying, don't look into the staff's issues and concerns. No way. Put that on the record. The other thing that we have here is we know we need to do something because there's with people bringing things forth, we know that we might need to do some things around our policy as it relates to employee relations, and strengthen those policies and looking at what we currently have in place and understanding what the concerns are for the staff. And as well as we need to also look at Mr. Bell's concerns as well. So we got to hear from everybody. Once we get that information, we need to use that information to strengthen our policies so that we can have a healthy environment. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner McCaskill, I have a question. Given that we don't have the same timelines, did this firm give us an idea of when they could conclude an investigation approximately?
Said 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
No, it was 10 weeks.
10 weeks. 10 weeks.
10 weeks. That's quite a length of time.
But we want a thorough investigation completed,
Thorough,
conducted, and
I agree.
yeah. So, I mean, we reached out to the experts and allowed them to tell us what they can do. So I just want to make sure that we reached out to the firm, and that's what she said, that they would need at least 10 weeks to do a thorough investigation.
And in the meantime, the situation is what it is, the environment is what it is. Some people are uncomfortable, whether right or wrong, whether it's their perception or it's reality. The atmosphere is difficult for people to work in, and it's not fair to the employees nor Mr. Bell, frankly. That is a long period of time. Commissioner Borrow?
Well, Mayor, we did say in our last meeting to ask our city attorney or whoever to reach out to the Florida League of Cities, who they can provide somebody as it relates, because I remember trying to put together some options as it relates to the people who were having issues, our staff who was uncomfortable with communicating or getting direction from Mr. Bell, to put that layer of protection in place. And I asked to have them to report to HR. And so what we came up with, that they could go and that you would reach out to Florida League of Cities to get that individual, whoever represents human resource needs as it relates to that they would be the proxy. Am I correct?
And I spoke to, and Commissioner McCaskill.
We talked about that.
I spoke to 2 attorneys at Florida League of Cities, and they cannot be basically the holder of all the investigative material. They don't offer that service to the 411 cities.
He's asking something else.
Well,
But you're
that's
asking-
no, that's not what I asked. What I asked was, I thought we were trying, because we wanted to make sure that the employees, I was trying to put a layer of protection in for the employees, not to have to go directly to Mr. Bell, so that they wouldn't feel uncomfortable or intimidated. So I asked, could HR, and then I think we came up with that they could be potentially routed through the Florida League of Cities through somebody from that agency that they could provide those services. That's what I thought.
And that's what we
were
asked, and they cannot.
Okay.
Neither company.
So
Mhm.
with that being said, we need to leave here tonight with something in place that the employees the ones that submitted issues and concerns report to somebody else until this investigation is over. Whatever that means, we just need to make sure that those things happen so that the environment is not toxic.
That, my concern though is that would make it evident any anonymity, any autonomy, any not knowing who it is, that would be pretty evident if several people are going to somebody else besides Mr. Bell.
So the Attorney for the Fourth of Cities actually referred us to Smith and Spellman.
Yes.
Okay,
To the company that we already have.
okay. That you.
Yes, the firm, I'm sorry, that we already,
So
Well-
they can do that, right, during the process?
yes.
Okay, well, yes. Oh, we got 2 and 1.
Commissioner Jones, you gonna say something?
I think y'all came to a resolution just in that conversation, but I was gonna say, and I am gonna say is excuse me, as it deals with employee relations, everyone up here is capable of reading documents, analyzing them, and coming to a logical conclusion. That's what a investigation is, just fact finding. So either the facts, it's like Dragnet. Everybody know about Dragnet. Just the facts. You read what the facts are as they're presented, and we can decide if it had the legal grounds or definition to meet the criteria of what's been alleged. Just like EEOC, Commission on Ethics, there's going to be a threshold. If those things we have identified as there are issues, young lady was saying, get someone in here to mediate the situation. We could try, and there's nothing saying that we can't do both. Have a mediator come in and mediate the situation to make a different workplace. And I'm gonna say this, and it's not gonna be popular, but in this setting here at the city, this is about the only place in the city of Palatka where you have an African-American leader that's leading a majority Caucasian workforce. So I think this is an opportunity to have some cultural diversity brought in so that we start understanding each one's culture and background. This would help us understand maybe a person like me who talks with my hand, not meaning to offend anyone. It's a cultural thing. There's other people who say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, because it's a Southern thing. You got other folks that didn't come from the South, and to them it's offensive. So if we start learning how to get along as people, it would help us understand how to work along in the workplace. I think we have to start there. I'm okay with the investigation that goes along, but we all have read the same documents, and we probably I hear different tones about how far we want to go with it. But if you reach down and you read yourself, everybody up here is a prudent thinking person. And we could see what the issues are based on those statements. But I think that if we reach out and we really want to help the totality of the situation, because as Commissioner Bourne said, we're still going to be working together and it's going to be uncomfortable. No matter how the investigation goes, there's going to be some bitter people. So we need to learn how to move forward. So I would also suggest, I'd like to make a motion that we bring in a mediator, someone that can actually be that work between, because it's not going to be good with everybody for 10 weeks. Everybody's going to be on edge, and there's no person to actually lead the troops. We'll have to revert to chief of police being the next in line to actually be the person who everybody's going to answer to. So, folks, we really have a problem, and you talk about if we're going to look into it, I think it's going to take some outside eyes and ears to listen and see what we have here. It's a melting pot right now, but this is the only, you guys tell me, this is the only place I could say in Putnam County that have this unique makeup. So I think it's two-pronged. We do look into it because we do value our employees. That answers to the city manager. But we also need to take this opportunity to look at the totality and how we're going to move forward. Those would be my suggestions, to try to do both.
Commissioner Boyle and Commissioner Campbell both put up about the same time. Commissioner Campbell, go ahead.
I'll just say that I'm in agreement with Commissioner Jones. That was one of the things that we actually did when we sat down and had the meeting and gave direction, was for professional development or something of some sort. And I'll be just candid, when there was a discourse amongst us as legislators sitting on this dais, we took it amongst ourselves to humble ourselves, and we had training as well. And at the time, I even had the conversation that we may have wanted whoever the city manager would have been should have been a part of that particular training that we had. But of course, it was prior to. So I'm in total agreement with Commissioner Jones with regards to having someone to come in the almost immediate to help correct or to help steer the ship. Again, 10 weeks is very much a long time for those who have brought forth allegations or their concerns with regards to, but there's a whole lot that can be done in 10 weeks that will help this city move forward and help this city shine. And again, I want us to be mindful as we move forward that we don't want to create a hostile work environment for Mr. Bell, as I previously stated as well, which I have some comments that I will be making during my personal comment time. But again, we have a due diligence to make sure that we look out for all of our citizens. And I think something almost immediately would be the recommendation of Commissioner Jones to bring someone in to help us correct what appears to be an issue. And that's just my support for what Commissioner Jones has recommended.
Commissioner Boyle?
Yes, I too share that same sentiment again, when we did have that retreat where staff and commission learned about the barriers that was that meeting. There's a lot came out of that meeting. So we have some learnings that we could truly implement. And once, if we can get that mediator in here, they can use that, because there was a lot in that meeting. There was some real feelings that came out of that meeting that told you about how we work with each other, how you respect each other, how you treat each other. And so that is the footprint that we can really spin off of to help make us better as leaders, help make staff better as in their capacities, and help us all work together like we're supposed to be working together.
Mayor,
Commissioner Campbell?
is there an opportunity for us to, and I want to make sure as far as process wise, so legal, if you would just be ready to kind of help me navigate through this. Of course, we know we had the company that provided us our retreat. And I believe that there is still an opportunity for us to extend and ask to see if they're willing to come in, because I don't believe that first everything was to a resolve. So that's an option. Or can we go back to that pool of individuals to see if there's individual that we would be able to, because I believe our pick was very, very close. And I know that there may be an opportunity for us to work with individuals who we already have information for to come in and provide those services. So I would make the recommendation, if it's something that we are allowed to do and doesn't have to go out for an RFP, that we take in consideration. Now, again, we do have that information, and I really don't even think the scope of it has to really change that much. It's going from what we did as a commission to departments or whoever were involved. But I think it's an opportunity for us to bring that information back up so that we can move rather quickly and get some answers, versus us trying to, as many say, kick this thing down the road or drag it out. Because again, it is very much something that when I go home, I take it home, and I desire not to take it home anymore, because it's affecting my mental capacity when it comes down to trying to rectify the situation and making sure that I am protective of not only our employee, but all of our employees. And again, I wish to bring this thing rather quickly.
So Commissioner Campbell, Mr. Whitson, he was the facilitator for the team building exercise that we had. And he has a standing offer to meet with us again and offer those services. So I don't think that would have to go back out. I don't think he meant for that team building exercise to be a one and done. He did extend that, and that is an option that's available.
I would like to use someone else. And the reason, as we just clearly pointed, because it's just to diversify the situation. I think we all got something out of it. And I think it's just been a great benefit. And you, Mayor? Madam Mayor?
Did I think it was a great benefit? Yes.
Yes.
Do I think, yes.
So we all agreed on that. So I gotta make a motion that we bring.
Do we want to finish the emergency item motion first?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's finish this item first.
Well, I'm gonna include that.
Okay. You want to add it to this?
Let me ask a question first. What
Yes.
was the cost associated with him and this?
Like
Yeah, it wasn't over.
It wasn't high. That included the facilities because it was up at.
Yes.
12, so I don't know what just his fee was.
Use our facilities or
That's what
Rep Center,
I think we need to use someplace close.
just cater food.
We have the golf course, we have the rivers, whatever, we have various places. Okay. I think they're, yeah, nice. As far as, item 10A, do we have a motion to approve?
I think Commissioner Jones was going to make a motion that was.
Amended motion.
You want to add to that motion, you can
Yeah.
still.
To approve going after the investigative services to include bringing in a mediator to conduct regular business and be a liaison between the city manager and staff. And also bringing someone that can conduct human diversity training or or retreat.
Second.
Was that motion clear? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. Commissioner comments?
Oh, if I may, I don't know if I need to add it as an emergency item, but,
Madam,
and that is,
the resolution that I believe we approved, just now with amendments, had blanks in it for budget amendments. Is there a budget amendment a part of that?
That 10,000 cap,
yes.
not to.
And we would need Miss Cardy for the lines unless you're just gonna tell her to return it to reserves or.
We're gonna use our own buildings for the
Well, we're talking about the attorney, this.
the attorney, not to exceed 10,000.
If I say something, I disagree with using our facilities. And this is the reason why I disagree, because some of the incidents may have happened within those facilities and it may trigger certain things. So if we want to stay local, that's fine, but utilizing our facilities, I would just err on the side of caution simply because we want to remove our employees from the environment in hopes of them being a little bit more open.
I don't disagree with that. I didn't know in thinking of, say, the golf course, for example. I don't know if anything, given that. Yeah, anyway.
I'm in agreement with Campbell. I think that's a good idea. And that was one of the reasons that we wanted to get out of the facility and do it in a different, atmosphere.
Right.
What was the name of the one that we went with?
Whitson's company? I'd have to look it up. I don't
I'm
know.
looking it up because I wanted to make sure, one of the questions, if we could have possibly answered it, prior to leaving.
Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to remember the name of its actual.
I think it was local government visions off the top of my head.
Okay, are
So,
we okay with that, Sonny? You got it?
so we have the maximum amount as far as which line item in the budget it's
Yeah.
coming from. I think we're waiting on
Director
this.
stepped out, so I don't know if you
So
wanna.
the workshop option A was $2,275. Workshop option B was 1,900, and I believe that we went with the option A, which was the 2,000. But that's just for records.
Funny. Okay, I'm sure she'll be there.
I believe we still can proceed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, we good.
we got it. Okay.
What's that?
Commissioner comments?
Oh, I was saying that, I know that they're doing the backpacks, or the cousins are doing the backpacks or fun this weekend, I think at Jenkins facility. I have a science guy nonprofit that would like to do a demonstration that I spoke with. He did come in and do the paperwork. And I was wanting to know if the commission was okay if I used my funds, some funds to help, to pay the science guy, Steve Wilson. He does going to the schools. He would do a demonstration and he would provide some kits for the kids to have, if that's okay.
That's your money.
Okay, but
Yeah, so I think we had already approved that, but like as a blanket. I mean, that
Okay.
is a community event. And so you just give direction to, the finance director and go through the city manager
Okay.
to say, hey, allocate these.
Has that,
So you good.
what,
Yes, anyway.
okay.
has that vendor been used before?
He came in and did his paperwork.
Okay, so what you would need, if I'm not mistaken, is to add an item to the agenda on emergency basis.
No.
Not in this case.
Right.
Commissioners don't need to come back and check with us for
Yeah.
how they discretionarily spend.
Yeah.
There is a special events policy that I'm happy to pull up if you'd give me
Yes,
the
we have a
moment.
policy that says-
But I think the policy was with the paperwork, that's something, because I had to go through it when I did my event, that they were not a vendor, but as long as that vendor information is provided to Ms. Jill
Right.
and it's properly done with the insurance, because there's several components that they would be able to be paid.
Right.
It's
Well-
just making sure that getting with finance is the layer that we need.
If I'm not mistaken, though, we have a policy of how we expend those funds that are in that line item for commissioners. And it can be expended by the commissioner, but the vendor needs to be approved by the commission. And once the commission approves it, then it's okay for it to be used for that line item. That's what we have done in the allocation of previous
Did you
funds.
just pull this up, Mr.
Not with my event.
Yeah, it's a new, I mean, if I may speak, I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
In Commissioner McCaskill's situation, this is a brand new vendor that the city's never used before. So as per the policy, a motion would need to be made by the commission to allow her to expend her funds.
Yeah, that's a
fine.
good catch. Thank you.
Not to say it can't be done, it's just that that's the,
The process.
right.
So-
Add that as a emergency.
Yeah.
And I would like to add, using Mr. Steve Wilson as a vendor to do a science demonstration as an emergency item.
Second.
We have a motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments?
Was
Yes.
that a motion to add it as an emergency item, or was that a motion for the?
It was
To
to
approve.
add it, not
Add
just
it.
Make a motion that we allow the approval
Right.
of a vendor
for,
to be utilized for Commissioner McCaskill's request.
Thank you.
All in one.
second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. Commissioner Campbell.
And this is with a great deal of respect. It was stated earlier with regards to the article that was written in the newspaper. I have some heartache with regards to some of the quotes that were mentioned, and I want us to be mindful as we sit here as legislators. We have to be mindful of what it is that we put out in the atmosphere, because we know that a great deal of people look to the media for their news. And I want us to be mindful as we sit on this dais. There were terms or phrases used as far as train wrecks and things of that nature. There was also things that were alluded to that we as a commission seemingly are not working together. But I want to make sure that we are mindful of when we are engaging in dialogues, more specifically with the media. And I'm not just speaking solely with regards to Palatka Daily News. I'm speaking just in general. We have a duty to protect those that work for us. And we want to be mindful. As of now, the city of Palatka has been and is under a microscope, and they are looking for any and everything to make us appear as if we are dysfunctional in our dealings and our workings. And I want us just to be mindful as we begin to move forth, as we begin to seek progress, that we be mindful of terminologies, or we be mindful of adjectives and things that we are using to describe staff or describe the commission. Again, I'm not speaking solely with regards to the Palatka Daily News. I've been brought to my attention from just in conversations with individuals that a lot of things are being said, and those things that are being said is not a reflection of the entire commission. And I want that to be known. I want that to be put out there, that again, we have to be mindful of our employee and our employees of the city. Yet again, train wreck is not what we are, not what we have, nor are we dysfunctional or not working together by any stretch of the imagination. There are opportunities there are times where we may disagree, but we've always walked away with a level of respect that allows us to come back here and continue to do the work that we do. So once again, with a great deal of respect to my fellow colleagues, I want us to be mindful of how we utilize certain terminology and phrases with regards to any working relationship there is with our city employees.
Any other commissioner comments?
Oh, I totally agree with Commissioner Campbell on that. I'm not reading the paper a whole lot, but thanks for that comment again. Everything that people read, they need to know the full story as opposed to sometimes what's written. And the best way you get that is if you're either watching this thing live in YouTube land, or if you're in this meeting. Any other thing that you get, you might want to put question marks around it, because you don't know. Sometimes there's other narratives that's trying to be painted. So again, if you're in the room, you'll understand and know everything that's what's happening, transcribed.
Commissioner McCaskill, any comments? Commissioner Jones,
Thank you.
any comments?
Yeah, you're gonna let me close out?
I'm sorry, what?
Gonna let me close it out?
Absolutely.
Can I make a comment?
Being mindful of the time.
Yes, I understand.
Go ahead, Mr. Bell.
Thank you. I just want to be mindful of the time, but also say, I see here often and people come in and they do things that, or say things that may impugn my character. And there was some terminology thrown around today about dishonesty. And I want to clarify that what I did was in alignment with my contract and in alignment with the policy. And I did not do it dishonestly. I advised the mayor in advance of doing it. Now, the commission did decide that they wanted me to do something different, but that is something very different than being dishonest. And so somebody impugns my character and alleges that I'm dishonest, I do want to clear that up. That's not accurate information.
Thank you. And that holds true of everybody, because also other people have disparaged other people's reputation, have stood up here as well and said that they felt they needed to say, which is fine in public comment, but it is involving a person, and whether it's factual or not has yet to be proven. So I think, again, we all need to temper what we say.
But I think it needs to be addressed at that moment, and being that you are the facilitator of this meeting, the meetings go literally according to how they are governed. So if at any time, and I know I find myself trying to be the person to try to make sure that we stay the course, but again, actions of whoever it may be, if they are addressed at the immediate, I think that may dummy down some of those comment.
And I've been also very careful and try not to respond to public comment because that's not its design. But again, that's when people feel free to say whatever's on their mind. And sometimes it is disparaging to an individual. And I think that's an inappropriate action, but it's hard to correct people when we aren't supposed to respond to public comment.
Responding versus giving direction.
So being mindful of the time and what we say, Commissioner Campbell didn't mean dummy down.
No, not dummy.
That's the terminology that we use. I just wanted to get you. So all minds are clear, but